So this question is swapLexOrder, which is in the hash table section of interview practice. So this question was asked by Facebook, and this is a hard question. So the question is that given a string and an array of pairs that indicates which indices in the string can be swapped, return the lexicographically largest string that results from doing the allowed swaps. And you can swap indices any number of times. So if we look at this example, so for this string A, B, D, C, and pairs 1, 4, and 3, 4, the output should be D, B, C. So as you can see here, this is how the indices are. And you can swap 1 and 4 for the characters at 3 and 4. So in order to solve this question, we need to first find all the pairs that we can swap. So as you can see that because 4 is common here, we can also swap 1 and 3 now. So this is the transitive closure for this. And so by doing all these swaps, we get to this DBCA. So now how do we find these certain groups of indices that we can all interchange between each other? So in order to do that, we can first start from one of the pairs. So let's say 1 and 4. And now you can go through all the existing components that you already have. But in this case we don't have any, so we can make this into one component in itself. So now we go to the next pair, which is 3 and 4. So because the intersection of this is not empty, because we have 4, so now we know that we need to find the union of these two sets, and then that makes a new component. So because we only had 2 pairs, so now both of the pairs are over. So now we just have one component, 1, 3 and 4. So this means that we can rearrange any of these characters in any order we want. So now we can look at the initial string, and we know that at 1 index we have A, at 3 index we have D, and at 4 we have C. So to make this lexicographically the largest, we need to have the bigger characters at the front. So that means D, C and A. So you need to rearrange it in that order, like this. So if we want to put them as much to the front as possible. So in this order we have 1, 3, 4. So now the character at 2 will stay the same, but now at 1 we will put D instead, which is the largest. And then in the index 3 we will put the second largest, which is C, and at the end we'll put the smallest A. So that's how we get DBCA. And so this solution is in Python 3. So as you can see, we have the swapLexOrder function, which takes a string and a list of pairs as its arguments. And we convert this string into a list so that we can use it later on. Then we have these components, which we get using this getComponents function. And this getComponents function takes the list of pairs, and then we convert these pairs into a list of the sets, and then we keep track of the components in this list. Then we iterate through each of the pairs, and then we create these new components. So first we make a copy of this pair, and then for each of the components we check if there is any intersection between this pair and this component. Then we can update this current component. Otherwise we can simply add this back to this new components. And then at the end we add this current component into this list of new components, and then reset this back to components. And so after it goes through all these pairs, it will get this list, and then in this list we can first sort the indices that are there. So this is just a regular sorting in ascending order, and then we sort it, but then based on the size of the characters in that list. And then we have to set these indices to the largest character that is there, which is why we take the last index and then subtract 1, because the indices start from 1 here. And then at the end we join this list using the empty string and then return the value. So as you can see, when we run the tests, all the tests are passing.